Hi, welcome to the bathtub, where when you hear this music, and we stop it really quick because we're afraid of being sued, you know it's time for a pointless adventure in literature, which is without the whiteboard. This is the first pointless adventure in literature without a whiteboard. It's a historical moment. The reason I don't have the whiteboard is I only just decided to make this pointless adventure because it seems like a pointless adventure. But anyway, imagine the whiteboard here, and I've drawn a really good picture on it. This is about basically my latest. It's basically an exercise, not my exercise in self promotion. I'm not as fat as I look. It's just I have to sit on this pillow. That's what makes me look ridiculous. So this is sort of a self promotion episode. I did quite a few on my new book. This is a new book. First time, the second time I self-published a brand new book of my stories, which is called The Millennial's Guide to Death. It's still available. I'll send you free PDFs, and if you want them, anyone gets a free PDF. It's worth every nickel that you pay for it. It's absolutely free, and I'll send you the cover. You can take it on your iPad. You can give it to anybody you want. They're Confederate dollars. Just give them to anyone you want. Pass them on the street. If you want a hard copy, you just have to review it somewhere, anywhere. Facebook, you can, in reviewing, review, just say this book exists, and I'll try to get you a hard copy if I can. That's the best I can promise. I'm going to try to get it to you if I can afford to get it to you cheap in America. I will send it to you for sure in America. Outside of America, it gets harder. All right, long preamble. I'm now republishing a lot of my old books, and I'm newly publishing all these other books I have on my computer. So I have all these novels that I love and stories and essays and so forth I've put together over the years, and I stopped publishing for years because it was just too depressing sending stuff to idiots who didn't get it, and so now I'm just doing it myself, and I don't really care. There's the non-floral pattern martini glass I've used for the past 3 episodes. Same martini, absolutely same martini, and I've got a new book I'm self-promoting. I just republished this book called Greetings from Earth. Stories, 1979 to 1992. Now, I've been doing these on CreateSpace at Amazon. I'm so sorry I'm using Amazon. I want to go somewhere else. I can't. I just can't relearn anything anymore at my age. But anyway, of all the ones I've done, I think this is one of the best looking books I've published with any publisher ever. I love this edition. I think it looks great, and I've used my son's old design. And my wife Lucy drew the cat and the parakeet, and I like the way it's sort of designed now. This is from the last story in the book called The Parakeet and the Cat, which is kind of one of my first beast fables, one which I'm mostly proud of, one of the ones I'm most proud of. And strangely enough, the parakeet from that story looks exactly like Dodo. I didn't even know Dodo. Dodo was in a gleam in her parents' eye when I wrote this story 25 years ago, she looks just like her. I don't know how that works. So this is the new edition. It's available on Amazon, super cheap. I think I got it down on there for like $8.95 hard copy plus postage. The Kindle version is very cheap, but you don't need to buy the Kindle because I'm going to send it to you. Anyone, same deal as the Millennial's Guide to Death. If you want a PDF, free PDF, you just tell me I want a free PDF. I'm going to send it to you on email. Okay, it's all yours, and you can pass it on to anyone you want. You can disrespect it. You can make jokes about it with your family and friends. I don't really care. I just want it to get out of my house. The hardcover, again, you'll have to do something for it. You have to review it or mention it somewhere, put it on a Facebook page. So, long preamble, long self-aggrandizing preamble, but I do love that book. I'm going to probably do a reading or two from this too, because what the hell, I got nothing else to do. I thought I'd tell the history of this book. I started to do this tape about 5 minutes ago, and then I got through about 5 minutes. I thought, I should really tell the whole history, and then I had to find the books and so forth. Okay, here's how this book came to be. It's kind of confusing. When I was living in London, what year was this? 1980, in the early 80s. I was publishing a few stories in Inner Zone, and I had some stuff. J.G. Ballard took a story of mine. I published a couple literary places, weird places, really all strange places that most people wouldn't have read. And I got a publisher who was just completely so insane that they actually agreed to publish my first book of stories. And it was at Unwin Hyman. And I used to go there out on Museum Street, right near the old British, right near the British Museum before it was all redone. And I used to hang around there. Loved that area. And they published my first book, which was called The Secret Life of Houses. There was a hardcover edition of this. I have tons of them lying around somewhere. And of course I can't find it. But weirdly enough, this is the only time in my life I had a mass market paperback of one of my books, because the mass market paperback just disappeared in the 80s. You don't remember? I love the mass market paperback. So I think this is one of my favorite books to have, is in the mass market. There was a wonderful cover by Ian Miller, who I slightly knew. He was a wonderful artist. I got him to do a couple of my early books, and I've always loved that cover for The Secret Life of Houses. It's from The Dream of the Wolf. And it's not a very big book, but I was really proud of this book, and it came out in 88, and nobody paid attention to it. So, when it came out, I really miss that floral powdered martini glass, I gotta tell you. Don't tell the kids. The kids are gonna be very upset if they hear that it was broken. So this came out in 88, and then I couldn't sell a fart in America. No one wanted to publish anything of mine. And then I sold a novel over there. We talked a little bit about history of luminous motion. And as a result of selling history, Knopf, Sonny Medic Knopf, I basically said to them, if you want to publish my first novel, I don't care about the money. I want you to publish my stories, because I'm really proud of these books, these stories. And so they didn't want to do it. They really did. They tried to back out of it at one point, those assholes. And they published a nice edition called Dream of the Wolf. So the premise was that we had to add stories. So we added 4 or 5 stories, and I don't remember how many it was. You think I'd know. 4 or 5 stories to this, that to make it kind of a newish book, and a copy edited it. And it came out as Dream of the Wolf, with this kind of weird but interesting cover. I like the Ian Miller better. And it was kind of a beautiful, Knopf always did beautiful books. Anyway, it came out as that. That came out in 91 maybe. 91 this book came out. I was very proud of this book. Then I had that book coming out in America, and the other book was out of print, and I was in England. It was the only time in my life people wanted to buy my books. Literally, it was like 6 weeks. It was like 6 weeks, and people wanted to buy my books and publish them. I don't know why it happened. I don't care, but it was good luck. It was good luck, or these books wouldn't exist. Peter Strauss at Picador bought a couple of books from me, and one of them was going to be was going to take this book of stories, which wasn't in print anymore, and some of the stories had never been in print. Gets confusing, doesn't it? And I added basically a new collection. So I wrote like another 8 or 9 stories, roughly the same length, and I called it Greetings from Earth. And this has another 8 or 9 stories in it, including some of my favorite stories that I ever wrote. Hey, 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 and The Monster, and Parakeet and the Cat. Stories that, again, I couldn't give them away to magazines, but they were idiots. I know these are wonderful stories. I'm very proud of this whole book. And I love the cover the woman came up with for this. I think she really got the feel of the book and the characters in it. And it did pretty well. I mean, review-wise, my books did pretty well in England at that time. They were never, you couldn't see the books in the bookshop. You literally couldn't find them. But it looked nice, and that's a nice, beautiful copy. So it was called Greetings from Earth. Then, just to make things even more confusing, 3 years later, I think it was 96, we got another guy to publish some of my books out at Picador USA, and they published it in America as Greetings from Earth, New and Collected Stories. This has got confusing, New and Collected. I was only like in my late 30s, early 40s, and I call it Collected just because I wanted people to know it was all the stories I basically had. They're already good, out of all these different collections. Very, very graceful. So anyway, that's the book. It came out about 96. It's been out of print ever since. It's available because you can get it I'm sure you can get it cheap secondhand and so forth. But I wanted to do I did a new edition of this, basically slightly copy edited with a new afterword, basically about, which I like these new afterwords I've added to the books. And it's a few pages just about writing stories and why I like writing stories. And that's at the end. And I published this on Kindle just a couple years ago. And I couldn't work my head around doing the hard copy printing of it. And finally, when we were doing Millennial's Guide, I said, what the hell? And I did this in about it took me like 2 weeks to do this cover. And it took me like 2 or 3 days to do this. And with Lucy's lovely pictures, it just all comes together. I love this. I think it's a lovely book. I'm putting it up super cheap. So I'm going to do a couple of readings of this online on the YouTube, on my YouTube thing. But basically, it's free. You want a PDF? It's free. You have no obligations to review anything of mine or say anything nice. You don't have to do anything. Just get it free. You can do whatever you want with it. All right, I'm going to read a couple stories from it in the next few weeks. I look like Nero Wolfe when I sit like this, and that's it. Okay, so that's the story of this ridiculous. I've always wanted to explain this to somebody because it's so confusing how these different collections came together. But this is basically the first half of my life as a short story writer, which I'm really proud of. Okay, happy bathing.